Welcome to the Scully Sez podcast, talking all things law, business, and more. Now here's your host, Tom Scully.
All right, hey, this is Tom Scully. We're talking about Scully Sez podcast, and we want everybody to listen in, to give us a thumbs up, to give us whatever. What else do we want to do, Patrick, beside a thumbs up?
Thumbs up, subscribe, like, share,
follow.
And if you don't like it, pass to the next one.
Yeah.
But still leave it a like.
Yeah, if you don't like it, we have some things we could say, but we'll try to be politically correct on this particular podcast. What do you think?
I'll do my best.
And of course, we try not to be too controversial here. We try to stay away from controversial subjects. So, and in that vein, I thought we'd go with religion. What do you think about that, sir?
Yeah, really, no one's ever argued or fought about that.
I would think so. Yeah, there's. I can't think of any wars or any conflicts that came about because of religion.
No, I'd say it's a pretty safe subject.
I would think so.
On
yes.
the podcast, it's
Yes. Well, but we're going to talk about. There are some drawbacks to religion, of course, and I think we've hit one or two of them. But there are a number of positive things to be said about religion. And as I was talking about religion, I was thinking about it before getting on today. I was thinking about the Charlie Kirk thing. And we have this character who we talked about before. Is what's his name again, Patrick?
Steven Crowder.
No, the guy that went. No, the fellow that put the Charlie Kirk down.
Oh, Tyler Robinson.
Yeah, well, Tyler Robinson. And we talked a little bit about him, and we talked about the fact back when is he was on the same path in some respects as Charlie Kirk until he dropped out of college and basically went a different way. And he went a different way. He ended up in an apartment with this furry friend, and his life was kind of full of chaos. And the thing about that is, undoubtedly he had no religion, none whatsoever. Whereas Charlie Kirk, of course, he was kind of motivated by religion. And so the thing about religion is, and you tell me whether you disagree with anything that I'm saying, but one of the things about religion, it gives you a purpose. You know, it's very important to have a purpose, and I think that was one of the problems with this guy. He didn't have a purpose.
Well, and I want to caveat that it gives you a purpose higher than oneself. That's the real, I think, important part about religion, right? Is like, you know, your purpose could be gathering money, your purpose could be having cool cars, your purpose could be being a great player or whatever, you know, any of these things. But it's the idea of devotion to like some sort of like unity higher than oneself, I feel like is the most important thing. But that was just a caveat I wanted to.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very important caveat. So, you know, when you get up in the morning, if you have something that's motivating you, if you have something that gives you a purpose, if you have something that gives you a structure, then you've got something to look forward to. But if you wake up in the morning and there's basically very little that you've got going for you, you're not looking at anything that's going to help you. Of course, you're kind of like you're just kind of like a ship, kind of on the waters of life, just kind of drifting along without any purpose whatsoever. And if you notice, the only purpose this guy had was to put down Charlie Kirk. If you think about anything else, he really had no. And when he was purpose driven, he was very successful. He did exactly what he set out to do. But other than that, he was doing nothing.
I think religion can also be like very humbling as well. It could give you a sense of something to work towards and to look forward to in life, and gives you a sense of a higher being. Gets you out of that mindset of like you're trapped and, you know, you're just this like dead human body doing nothing with no goals and stuff.
I was gonna say, like, you know, so obviously we've never really met, but so I run a pizza place. That's my job, day to day.
Got a lot of
So I have a
crust,
lot of
sure.
people around your age, that are, kind of struggling with just like the realities of what it is to be becoming a young adult and joining the workforce, or having to really support themselves off this money, all that stuff. And I think that that's the biggest thing that these kids lose. It's a very left-leaning area that I operate in, which is fine. I don't really care which end of the political spectrum operates on. We're just going to operate in reality is the thing. And these kids kind of operate in a reality that totally besmirches religion and totally almost like bucks tradition for the sake of bucking tradition. And it's like, what they're forgetting is that sometimes being able to turn inwards and just have a community of people who are just people who believe that, we have an afterlife, this is what we do to people, this is how we treat people, would make them feel immensely more, immensely more part of a community. And that's, I think, the biggest problem for people like your age right now is that there's this loneliness because you have a million different things that you could look at every single day that pull you this way and that way and this way and that way. And all these people look like they have success and look like they have whatever, but it's a tailored perspective of reality. And then when you try and meet, estimate up to your social media or to your common
Right.
famous people, you never will, because it's a curated reality that they're showing you.
Yeah, and I'd say all of that stems from social media as well. Just seeing other people's lives and comparing yourself to people that are across the world, And, naturally for thousands of years, we didn't hear about what went on, across the world and what these people were doing and how much money these people had, You only had a sense of who was like in your town, and it was a community that you had, and that's what you cared about. And I think you lose that with digital and digitalizing everything and social media for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's what Colin just said, and I think you've mentioned it as well. Religion gives you a sense of community. You meet people, you're dealing with people, you have a common purpose, and whereas again, if you're kind of adrift and you're by yourself, you become isolated. You become isolated, and if you become isolated, there's a tendency to become disenfranchised, and you become disenfranchised, you become bitter, and you're looking at these other people on the internet, and you really don't know who they are. You don't know what their problems are, but they're looking so much better than they actually are, and as a result, you're trying to emulate them, and you just end up frustrating yourself and going down a dead end.
I have to catch myself with that too. Like, like I love cars, and so I'll see something, like a creator that I like, or even a person who's I'm friends with who has like a really cool car, maybe a better car than me, nicer car than me, whatever. And you never think about like, okay, well, what struggles, what decisions did they have to make? What, maybe he's paying $1,400 a month at 20% APR, and that's like prison to me. You know what I mean? Like that's like literally prison. I would rather do anything. I don't care how cool the car is. I would never do that. And like, so I don't know those parameters. I just see the results of it, and I'm like, oh wow, that's amazing. I wish that was me. And comparison is the thief of joy. That is the truth. When you're looking at your life through the lens of how does it stack up to everyone else's, you're losing, and immediately you're losing. Like it doesn't matter how much you win in the societal sense, you're losing. You're not enjoying your own life. You're not looking around and counting your blessings. And I think that that's one of the bigger things that religion does for you, is it has that foundation of count your blessings, have gratitude for what you do have, understand that what you do have is not granted. And like those are things that, even aside from religion, are really, really good attributes to have. The thing that I think a lot of people miss is that religion doesn't need to be a rigid framework by which you live everything in your life and you look at everything through that lens. It needs to be something that kind of is a
structure,
almost more, like it's a structure. It's like and you think about it in a more of a Gnostic way, right? Like it's more like about yourself. It's not selfish, but it's about like bettering yourself and becoming a better version of your of who you are.
Yeah. Well, another thing about religion, everybody hits a low point. You have times that things don't seem as they're going right, and everything's going wrong, and so things are stacked against you. And religion gives you the opportunity to cope, helps you to cope. gives you the idea that you'll get through it, that there's something at the end of the tunnel. I think that's one of the things that religion says. It says there's something out there. There's something in front of you. There's something that you're going towards.
Right.
We've got that idea. Whereas if you just don't have that idea, of course, your ability to cope becomes somewhat compromised. Do you go along with that?
I agree. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree. I mean, it's like when you're in history class, are you learning history because all of the minutia of history is super important? Well, sure, but not really. You're learning history to build a framework for the reality that we live in, you know? You're learning history to understand why we are the way that we are, how we got to how we got there, so that when you go to Egypt, you're not just like, you know, damn, can I rent one of those when you see a pyramid? You know what I mean? Like, you understand what they are. You understand it's not a new thing. You understand how they were created and the context. That's the whole point. It's just to give more context to this life that we're living, right? And I think that the you know, surgical removal of religion from at least like the American, like, you know, culture is it's taking away another set of context that is why we are where we are. You know what I mean? And it's just not. Those texts being something that are such hot button issues makes very little sense to me on like an intrapersonal level. I understand globally why it'd be an issue. I understand like why countries will fight over it. But intrapersonally, I've never understood. I mean, when you zoom out on most of the good books, you know, ours is the good book, but there's other good books. If you look at all of them, it's all kind of telling you the same thing. Me and you talk about this, Poppy. It's to be a better person, right? Like, that's the point, is to treat people better and to treat your community better and to build a foundation that more people can, you know, the future can build on.
And you'll feel better at the end of it too.
Right.
Well, you know, it's kind of a guidebook. There's this book, I don't know if you heard of it, it's called the Bible. And it talks about, it's not only a history, but it talks about people. And it talks about people that have screwed up. People that have been very, very successful. People that have been kings and emperors and extremely successful people. And you see that they have these human flaws, and that they screwed up, and that they've hit rock bottom, and they come back somehow, and it kind of gives you a guideline or a framework, and you can look back on it, and it kind of gives you an idea as to how you can move forward, and you know, I mean, you get you have the famous cases of King David. I mean, he was a guy that had significant failings. And
I was going to say the one that came right to mind for me was Peter, right? Like, Jesus told Peter, "You're going to deny me. You're going to, you know, you're going to turn your head from me, you know, 3 times." And Peter's like, "What the heck are you talking about, man? Like, I'm your guy. Like, no way." And what ended up happening, you know? And all that story isn't like, and Peter sucks. You know what I mean? It's not that. It's that people make mistakes. People navigate reality for maybe the best result for them, and not, you know, and that's not great. And so, like, there is a lot of, there's so many stories of redemption in the Bible, you know?
Yes. And of course, when you get to Peter, there's also this fellow by the name of Judas. Very worldly oriented, was he not?
Oh yeah.
No. And so he there's a lesson to be learned. I hadn't thought about this, but you know, when you're talking about people with their cars and people with their homes and people trying to get things, well, Judas was very interested in money, very interested in money and how he could get some more money, how he could keep the money that he's got, and what he could do to make some money, and so that was his emphasis. He wasn't he was a guy that was not getting the message. Didn't get the message, you know. He was
right.
with all these other guys. And so he's a good guy to look at because he tells you what not to do. Yeah, he tells you what not to do. And when you talk about Peter, it tells you, you know, we can all relate to Peter. He's got a big mouth, and he doesn't know what the heck he's doing. But nonetheless, he's trying to bully his way through. and finally he becomes humbled, and becoming humbled, he realizes who he is, and he becomes a better person for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and Judas also, did not meet a good end actually as a result of kind of misunderstanding that. As far as I understand it, Judas tried to give the money back that he got for betraying Jesus, and then eventually took his own life, is what I understand it as.
If I'm not mistaken, he threw it back.
Right,
He
right.
threw the money back,
yeah.
and they didn't want it. And that's what they call blood money. That's how the term came about. I think that's
the field of blood. Yes.
yes. So that that's what he did. He took the money, and sometimes you're better off not taking the money.
Right.
So.
Well, you'll regret it at the end, right? And that's the thing. What did he get for it? What did he ultimately get? I mean, he nothing is the truth. There's finality in that story. There's nothing. He got nothing out of that. He lost ultimately, and that not often is a story in the Bible truly like that. There's a lot of redemption, but I think it's just one of those things that even if someone was not Christian, there's just actual value in the text. There's actual allegories that really are very helpful to you. I mean, it's an anthology, right?
And I guess what my question is why people try and stray away from this, especially nowadays. Why it became a thing to stray away from religion and Christianity in general.
Well, I think that they talk about what things that seem to be good, like buying a new car, getting a new house, meeting famous people, doing things like that. They tend to be good on the surface. They attract you, but and sometimes when you're trying to do the right thing, it's a little bit more difficult. And so a lot of times, there's a saying, taking the easy way out. You take the easy way out. And almost anything, it doesn't have to be even like religion, but a lot of times you do the easy thing, you continue to do the easy thing over and over and over. And as a result, you end up in worse shape than if you had done the hard thing in the beginning.
Yeah, that's kind of... because everything, time is a flat circle. That was just a conversation I was having before we got in here with one of my buddies who was talking about stock trading, and I was like, stock trading is cool if you get super engrossed in it and you're studying trends and you understand that it's almost like a game. It's real money, it's a real thing, but it's almost like a game that you need to
can kind of figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. And you're playing that and you get real crazy in the numbers. That's awesome. Same thing if you have a friend who's a poker player and they're just a magnificent poker player. It's not the same as a degenerate gambler necessarily, right? But we were talking about that, and putting the least in to get the most out is a common way that people want to live their lives, and a common way that people want to exist. And I just don't understand that for the life of me, because literally nothing good in a video game, in your life, in sports, anything. Nothing good comes from putting a little bit in and hoping to get a lot out. You'll always be let down. Even if you put a little bit in and you get something great out, you're gonna be let down, because the mentality that allowed you to put nothing into something also allows you to think that you're gonna get everything out of it. And that's the common. I think social media kind of has polluted the water source, if you will.
It makes you comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the same thing people who smoke marijuana and chill all day, right? It's why is so many people who smoke marijuana chill all day? It's not because they're all set and they're all good and it's this is best. It's because it makes you comfortable in any scenario. And so then you're in a loser scenario maybe, and you're still or a losing, I don't want to say loser, but a losing scenario. And you're still looking around hey, I got League of Legends to fall back on, and it's it just allows you to be nothing,
Yeah.
It allows you to rot, for lack of a better term. I mean, we would know that term, but for anyone else. And
it makes you okay with doing that. It makes you feel okay, while you're doing it too.
Especially
social media, yeah.
You have thousands of other social media stoners or friends that are stoners or whatever that are also reinforcing that same belief, and
Right. It doesn't help when you have shops for marijuana right across the street from each other on every street. Yep. In states that are legal.
Oh yeah, we got 4 in our town.
I think though, when you get there, when you say, yeah, it makes you feel better, it does immediately, and you can keep on repeating that pattern. But in the background, you kind of got the idea, this is not working out. It's not working out. But what you do is you go back to the immediate again. You try to do something that makes you feel good, and then afterwards you think to yourself, this is not the right way to do it. But what do? You say, I don't feel too good, so you go back to that thing that made you feel good in the beginning,
Right.
And you become more and more disenfranchised.
And that's true of alcoholism too. It's true of marijuana. It's true of even like people who spend, right? Like people who go out to spend money to feel better. You know, it's the same thing. It's like a bottomless pit. You can do the action that makes you feel better endlessly, but if you like cosmically know you're doing wrong, you're gonna feel really bad when left alone with your own thoughts. And I think that social media has done a really good job in the sense of it's good at doing it, but it's bad for humanity, of not allowing you to be alone with your own thoughts. You know, why would you sit and be pensive? You could scroll reels and you might see like a guy like, you know, crash a Hellcat through a building or something. That'd be sweet, you know? And it's like, it is sweet on the surface level. No, it's super cool, but like, it's definitely not fulfilling. You know what I mean? Like I definitely, every hour I've spent scrolling, I definitely feel like is a wasted hour, you know?
Sure. And, a lot of times another thing that religion will do is it will teach you to be better to one another. Gives you the idea that you have certain obligations to one another. You're not by yourself. And a lot of times when you're on the internet or when you're scrolling or whatever you're doing, you are by yourself. And you don't have an obligation to anybody else. Whereas if you're out in the community and you're in some type of religious type of congregation, you do get the feeling that you have the obligation to your fellow man. You have the, and you know there's a certain way you have to treat other people. And I think that when you get away from that, that idea becomes lessened. And you don't feel as though you have that much of an obligation to somebody else. The only obligation you have is to yourself. Right. And that is hurtful not only to yourself, but it's hurtful to society. And and what is hurt. Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, you know, church. Like one thing that kind of just popped in my head now is a lot of kids these days, and even I've felt susceptible to it many times. You just feel useless. You just feel like, what is my purpose? There's so much out there. I'm up against this mountain. What am I? I'm like an ant. What am I? You know. And when you have first off a strong community, regardless of denomination or anything else, when you have a strong community, that's where that gets revealed to you, your purpose, even if it's a small purpose. But like, you know, the person who is, you know, autistic or any of the modern, you know, things that people nowadays will kind of like, you know, it'll be like, oh, well, I just sit inside all day and that's why I do it. If those people were exposed to a community that accepted them for what they do great, oh, that's, you know, Tom, he does the numbers really good, or oh, that's who. You get to build who you are based off of that. You get to say, I'm good at doing the numbers, or I'm good at singing, I'm the guitar player in my church band, and it like makes a steadfast belief in yourself of like, okay, I am Tom, the guitar player. I am Patrick, the hymn singer. I am, and on social media, you might fall into a group or here or there or whatever, but it's just the transient nature of it, because it could be, I lost that bookmark, or I stopped going to that page and I started going to a different page, or whatever. It just can flip back and forth so quickly. But when you have a church, the church lady's known you for 20 years and she's like, oh, I remember you, you know, blah, 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 blah. It's just a sense of community and it's a sense of self that you can get, you know, from the outside that we miss nowadays.
Yeah, and you know what though? The sad thing is I don't think it's gonna come anytime soon, either. Because because you see a lot of young kids now, especially, and they have their own devices and everything, and the answer to all those like questions that people have, like what their purpose is and all that, it's not in the phone, you know.
Exactly. You have to go and experience something, you know.
Yeah.
Well, they turned around at this Charlie Kirk thing. They have this group. What's it called? Turnaround, is it? Turning Point. And it's become very popular, and I think actually, particularly even with younger people and with the college group, there is a feeling that something is missing, and it's becoming. I think that sometimes there's an emptiness. There's an emptiness, and you get that emptiness, and you're saying, how can I fill this up? What is it that's missing in my life? And I think, a lot of times you go with a group, like religion offers you. You go with the group, and you kind of help one another. You get that idea. Sometimes you at that's in a lot of respects. That's how people they tend to help one another. You don't get that when you're by yourself, but
Right.
you get the sense of community that people, you're helping one another.
Well, and I did see, as a result, not just a result of Charlie passing, but just in general, one of the largest growing demographics of Christian churchgoers is young men, and that qualifies everyone from your age to younger than you to a little bit older than me. But we're apparently the largest growing demographic of people going to church, which is awesome because I would cite all the time in like 2019, 2020, the largest growing epidemic of death was people in our age group, younger than you and older than me, committing suicide. And so I think that there is a correlation there. Like, I mean, that feeling of loneliness and hopelessness and everything like that, people always ask, well, where do I find a wife if I don't have one, if I didn't find one in high school? Where do I do this? Where do I do that? You have that place. You have that touch point where you could be meeting people who have a similar value system to you, who have, similar makeup as you, come from a similar place as you, whatever. You have that there, and people just don't tap into it because it's like, oh, well, one thing I always hear is like, oh, well, I don't agree with this on the church. I don't agree with that on the church. I don't agree with the church on a lot of things. I'll be honest with you. I don't. And I'm certainly not the most avid churchgoer, but I also think that it's not necessarily through church, it's through the idea of religion. Church is just a great place to start, especially for people who are not going to be like self-starters on their own in like a spiritual journey. You know what I mean? So, sorry, go ahead.
I think after COVID, there was a resurgence on social media of a lot of like podcasters who preached about religion and stuff like that. Me and Tom were talking about Jordan Peterson earlier. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but people like him, I think, brought religion back into especially like young men.
Yeah.
Because that's what was on around the time.
Well, and I think one of the coolest things that you do see on social media, something that like genuinely like I had to take a second. And I'm like, oh man, like this is really beautiful to see this happening. Is seeing these guys who were maybe a gambling influencer, maybe more of like a party guy, whatever, and then they're coming now forward, kind of being like, well, my faith is really the more important element of it, or like, I'm a huge Ohio State football fan, go Bucks, but if they were doing. Before we won the national championship that year, or the year before, prior, they were baptizing other members of the team in practice. Like, they were, like, that connected and that religious. That's C.J. Stroud, who is, like, very, very religious. And, like, it's just really good to see that stuff. And it's good to see, our organizations posting these baptisms and posting the Bible scriptures and posting that. I mean, I think 3 or 4 years ago, you would not have seen that probably, you would not have, it would have been maybe almost taboo. It's like, ooh, you don't want to offend anyone by doing that. Ohio State doesn't give a shit now. And that's awesome. It should be that way, because I also don't care if, XYZ Jewish school wants to talk about, their teachings, because there's merit in their teachings. I don't care if a Hindu school wants to talk about that. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter the denomination.
It shouldn't matter to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's a good thing. You want people to be talking about their faith. It's real. It's real. It's an actual connection point that we can have as humans. Whereas, talking about like, me and you could like the same car and have zero anything else aligned, and we could become friends just because we like the same car. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're necessarily the people that should be around each other. It doesn't,
right.
I think church, you don't meet anyone at church where you're like, oh, I don't know. You might meet someone who you're like, I don't really like to hang out with them, whatever, but you're seldom going to meet someone where you're like, ooh, I don't like.
Yeah, you're putting yourself out there, and you're giving yourself that impression that you're not in this by yourself.
Right.
I think if you go to at the end of the day, I think what you end up is religion gives you hope.
Right.
That's what you got. You got hope, you see. And I think with some of this other stuff, you don't have hope. You
Right.
have you have immediate gratification, and then you get down, and so there's not an overarching uh, type of feeling that you have. It's just the fact that you feel good for the moment, but it's transitory. Whereas when you have hope, it's something that will take you through your journey, take you through your life's journey. And when you're really at the bottom, you've got something that you can look forward to, and something that will help you in the final analysis. And I think that's basically what religion really does do. It gives you hope.
Right. Right. Like you give it's a trade, right? You give it your faith and you get back hope, right? Like if they're similar energies, just different, states of it, right? But like, yeah, absolutely. You and I've thought about it that way, but I haven't conceptualized it in as black and white terms as you put it. That was very good because it's like that's exactly it. You turn to it not because everything in the book might be true or because everything else is bad or because it gives you hope. It gives you hope. That's period what it is. And in the world today, you're told to not hope on a lot of things. You're told if you're not doing, nothing's happening, and you can't do anything anyways to affect change. So, that's the snowball that you go down in our reality, But when you zoom out and you look at it through that religious scope, you're kind of like, yeah, stuff happens around us.
Shit too. Shit happens too.
It happens around us, and we persevere. That's the human experience. That's what we do. And looking at it through the lens of, oh, well, because XYZ is president or because XYZ did this or XYZ did that, it's important. All those things are important. Charlie dying, that's an important thing. It's a really important thing. I mean, a lot of even George Floyd, like that's an important thing. Those are important. Those are individual people's lives, man. That stuff sucks. But there's hope. And you move forward and you hope that the good comes from that. You hope the good comes from Charlie. The good comes from George. You know what I mean? That's what you hope.
Well, we have another problem. I believe that Mr. Tony, Mr. Pierogi came here, and he came here early, don't you say?
No, you keep going if you want.
Yeah, he says we can keep on going if we want, but I hate to throw a pierogi into the mix because I think we painted a rosy picture of religion, but religion can be, it's not always positive. There were these things called the Crusades, you see, and during the Crusades, there were these folks, the Muslims or whatever, and of course the church figured that they were a threat, which maybe they are, maybe they were. But so their solution to that was just to wipe them all out. And of course they did a pretty good job on that. And then of course we've had what they call we've had periods of times during the Middle Ages where we also had times where we had our Jewish brethren. We had to persecute them as well because you see they didn't see the light. And
right.
Yeah, and so I spent some time in Spain during that period of time, and they had the torture chambers, you see,
right,
and you try to help these people through, you see, and you can see bad things happening right now because you get these people that are fanatics, so to speak, and religion has taken hold of them, and they can do terrible things in the name of the Lord. And so, religion does sometimes have its downside, and so
yeah, because you do have that monolithic belief structure, right, where a lot of people are all agreeing with you, and so then sometimes you can sneak in those radical values in the name of something that's very normal on the outside, and those people, because they love you and they care about you and you're a member of their community, are going to allow it to a certain, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes. I mean, that's what you see in the modern conflict in the Middle East right now, is it's a bunch of people who are really kind of warlords, essentially hiding behind religion and acting like there's some religious merit to what they're doing, when it's it's probably largely about defense and revenue generation. I don't think that the religious ideologies are necessarily, at least the people experiencing the religious ideologies, are necessarily at the same level of odds that the governments are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times that these religious fanatics who would practice some religious tenets, they'd be all right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just take a deep breath and read the overarching philosophy for a second rather than getting lost in the weeds,
Yes. There's this crazy idea. It goes back to the earliest times. You remember Cain and Abel?
Oh, yeah.
That's about the beginning. And you remember what Cain said, do you? Famous saying? Am I my brother's keeper? And of course, the answer to that is yes, you are.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you are. Yeah.
That's the job, buddy.
And so if you look at it, now this is at the very, very beginning. If you look all the way back, the guy asks, am I my brother's keeper? And isn't that the situation that we see today? I mean, what the hell? I don't have to worry about this guy.
Why do I got to worry about these other guys?
I know.
It's not my problem.
I got other stuff to worry about. I mean, other guy's got his problems. I mean, guy needs a buck or two, but I don't have to give it to him. Somebody else will do it for him. I got my own problems. What the hell with him? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So and so what that guy said in the very beginning of the Bible is probably probably apropos today. Yeah,
right.
Same thing's going on. Nothing's really changed. The people have changed, the figures have changed, but the
human habits haven't changed.
Yeah. No. People are still people. Yeah. For good and for bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So I think we've pretty much solved this religious problem now, and I think that everybody. Tony is getting very restless because he's trying to run off the church. You see, I'm trying to hold him back, but he's got that old time religion, and he can feel it coming on. See,
he's going to St. Kaz.
No, he's left St. Kaz. I don't think he ever came from St. Kaz.
No, St. Stan's, now it's St. Thomas More here.
He was St. Stan's,
yeah.
you see.
They closed down.
See, here's what it was.
Closed?
Oh, yeah, not St. Kaz, St. Stan's. St. Stan's, I believe, was in Calumet City, was it not?
East Chicago.
It was in East
They're
Chicago.
Closed now. They're closed.
It's closed, you see. But here's what happened with Tony and what happened with a lot of our friends out there. You see, they come out of East Chicago. They come out of Whiting, you see. Very, very ethnic, don't you see? Very ethnic, very Polish. You might know that there's a guy by the name of Grizzlak. I know that guy, too. Out of North Hammond, you see. But then, you see, they move. And they become very, very successful. And they leave that crap behind them, you see. And so every so often, I have to give him credit, though. In spite of the fact that he doesn't go to St. Stan's, he doesn't go to St. Kaz anymore, he doesn't go to the Carmelite Shrine on a continuing basis, but he still remembers his background. He's Mr. Pierogi, Mr. Pierogi to the world.
That's his own religion.
That's right. He's got a religion. It's a different kind of religion, but nonetheless, he knows his roots. He knows where he comes from, and he's not afraid to show it to people.
Gotta love Tony.
Gotta love him. Okay. And so we said that. And Colin, do you have any words of wisdom to leave us with?
Thank you for having me. It was nice talking to you, Patrick.
Absolutely.
Hopefully I can be invited on again sometime.
Yeah. Why not?
I would hope.
Yeah. Well, there you go. See, hope. We got the hope.
There it is.
I can see this religious.
The message of the podcast, right there.
It's already. Yeah, we're hopeful. We're looking forward to the future. We've got good things coming up, and that should leave it.
Well, with that, and on the thread of hope, best segue of all time. We hope you'll like, subscribe, comment, share, favorite. Add me on Twitter. Whatever you got. Do whatever you got to do. watch the podcast, spread the good word, be a good person.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
All right.
Having said that, it's over and out, and God bless you, sir. And also, what do we say? Peace be with you.
And
Peace
also
be with you.
There you go.